What's going on, guys? This is Kaishro. Welcome back. So we are back with another video. On this video, we're going to tackle the top 5 tech cards to play in May 2024 OCG format post Infinite Forbidden or post Info. So yeah, without further ado, let's start. So before we start our top 5 list here, we're going to assimilate what is the meaning of tech cards or tech card in Yu-Gi-Oh. So these are my description for this term. Cards that see seldom play on the side deck and sometimes main deck of most people. So you don't really see this card often, but you could see inclusions of this card on their main deck or most probably their side deck. And despite being unpopular, these cards can have so much value against the meta decks on the format. So these cards are direct counters against the meta because these cards are relevant due to the fact that they can counter the best decks around in the format right now, and also often labeled as spies or cards that may surprise the current metagame. So these cards are kinda lackluster in representations because they don't really see so much play on everyone's side deck or main deck, but they can be very surprising to deal against, especially when people are not playing around these cards. And yeah, moving on towards our top 5, we have on top 5 we have Santa Claus. So yeah, Santa Claus is our top 5 to start our list right now. So yeah, moving on. Santa Claus is a quick fix against the problematic monsters. So yeah, there's a lot of problematic boss monsters on the format like Apollousa, Barone, and even the likes of Skull Guardian. And yeah, I think those monsters are equipped with negates and interruptions, and generally it's hard to deal against those monsters, so you have Santa Claus to out those problematic monsters. And also a kaiju with slimmer stat line. So yeah, most kaijus have 2k or 3k sometimes attack points, and Santa Claus only has 1 2, so it's very slim compared Gamma Shell or other things like Kumungus. So this is very valuable when you consider the fact that you need to out this card as well once you replace the opponent's monster using the Santa Claus. So you can pretty much attack over it really easy and out against this card very effectively. And also, it is easy to use yet effective. So this is very perfect for a lot of people that are not really familiar with the choke points of the game. They don't know how to interrupt the combo lines of the opponent or the meta decks, and also you're a beginner or a returnee that just wants to have effective cards on your deck. So this card can be the card that you are looking for because it is easy to use. You're just going to replace the monster of your opponent, and doesn't really take too much brain power or skill to execute it. So yeah, moving on, we have the meta decks that can be toppled by Santa Claus. So we have Voiceless Voice, of course, the Skull Guardian, no? Skull Guardian has high attack and an Omni Negate as well. So this is a very huge threat on the opponent's board. So you can out it with Santa Claus. And also White Woods or White Forest, I'm not really sure what is the correct term for the archetype. But yeah, White Forest or White Woods can really set up problematic boss monsters like the things like Barone and Cosmic Blazer and other Omni Negate boss monsters on the game right now. So you can use the Santa Claus to out those. And also we are having a resurgence of Drytron in the current OCG right now because Drytron got support from the previous sets and they are now looking promising than ever, and they are trying to mount a comeback on the metagame. But yeah, we have things like Perfection and Ultimateness to deal with against this Tritron, and Santa Claus does a really good job to eradicate those Omni Negate beat sticks on the board of Drytron. So yeah, moving on, we have the top 4 on our list. We have Solemn Strike, so a counter trap and a very generic one as well. And moving on, we have the functions of Solemn Strike. It is a very generic card to answer the meta. So most meta decks can be answered by Solemn Strike right now, and also playing Solemn Strike is very general, no? There's been a lot of times already that Solemn Strike is proven to be a good card to boost your win rate and really answer the best decks on the format right now. So yeah, it's very generic. You can pretty much play it safely on most decks, and you don't really have too much drawbacks on playing this card aside from the 1/5 LV that you are going to cost on this activation. And also A counter trap means less countermeasure. So yeah, common knowledge is, of course, Solemn Strike is a counter trap, and counter trap has a really high spell speed. So most cards cannot interact with this card, and that is a very huge advantage for you. You're going to pretty much outtempo your opponent using the Solemn Strike, and yeah, it leaves the opponent with no countermeasure, and also aids your going first prowess. So once you set up your board, your Apollousa, your Barone, your boss monsters, your Omni Negates, your interruptions, and you're going to pair it with Solemn Strike, it really makes a formidable going first presence on your end, because you are supported with a counter trap and a very powerful card as well on that regard. You are going to negate a special summon or a monster effect, and yeah, it really supports your board, and it definitely seals games away from your opponent. So yeah, moving on, we have the decks that can be tackled by Solemn Strike. So as we all know, Voiceless Voice is still very prominent on the format right now. You can pretty much Solemn Strike the Saphira, the Low, and the other shenanigans from the Voiceless Voice, and also Snake Eyes. You can pretty much hit all of the Snake Eyes cards with the Solemn Strike, and you're getting a lot of value from it. And also a very new uh, deck in our format right now, and probably the Adventure Engine 2.0, the Finsmith engine is very relevant right now on the format. So Solemn Strike can be very strong against Finsmith. You use this Solemn Strike to out the Finsmith, or the Link 2 as well, or sometimes Link 1, depends on the situation. So this is a very good card to answer the shenanigans of the Finsmith right now. And next, on our top 3 on this list, we have Kurifoton. So a very niche card, no? This card is very functional in the current format because of Tenpai, of course. We're not going to lie. Kurifoton is just viable here because of Tenpai. And yeah, it literally saves you against Tenpai, because Tenpai is one of the most prominent deck in the format right now. Aside from the affordability of the deck, you pretty much get the deck or the core with cheap price point. So most people are very attracted to it because it's cheap. You can build it in a very low economic investment on the deck, and you're getting rewarded for such a powerful meta deck with that Tenpai. And most people are playing Tenpai due to that fact alone. And Kurifoton is a card that can save you against Tenpai. It allows you to have a breathing room against Tenpai, and you can pretty much dodge their high damage output from their battle phase. We all know how ridiculous the damage amount of Tenpai that they can deal you against you on the battle phase. So Kurifoton is just a good card to prevent that, and also gives you a chance to mount a comeback. So on the other decks, no, once you have Kurifoton, you survive a turn, and you pretty much have the next turn to start your plays and build your comeback from it. And also, Kurifoton plays around the Transcendent Dragon from the Tenpai, their level 10 Synchro Dragon, probably their most dangerous card on their extra deck, and yeah, it literally shut downs anything from the battle phase. So other cards like the interactions against Tenpai that needs to be used on battle phase, like Battle Fader, or other cards that interacts on the Tenpai on battle phase, will be nullified from the Transcendent Dragon. And Kurifoton does a phenomenal job to avoid that, because you can pretty much send this card by just costing this card and your 2000 life points, and you're pretty much safe against the OTK of Tenpai. So yeah, moving on, we have the meta decks that can be tackled by Kurifoton. It is none other than Tenpai, of course. We are playing Kurifoton just to counter the Tenpai Dragon. And moving on the top 2 of our list, we have Raigeki. So a good old card, no, a really old ass card in the game, and it is still has value on the current post-info format in the OCG. So Raigeki, moving on, we have Raigeki. So this is a brilliant card against the meta decks. So most meta decks right now setups a lot of interruptions and interactions, but one thing is very lackluster against the format right now. They don't really set up Omni Negates aside from the White Woods or the Voices Voice, and also the Rescue Ace and the Snake Eyes doesn't really fancy playing the Synchron package, and now they are just resorting into IP Masquerena and Little Knight and Apollousa, and yeah, those generic monsters and link monsters that doesn't have Omni Negate. So Raigeki does a good job on outing those monsters, and this also is a very effective card against a board with no Omni Negate. So like I've said earlier, most meta deck setups with Apollousa, with IP Masquerena, and other cards that doesn't have Omni Negate on their card text are pretty much getting blown out by Raigeki, and the meta decks are really centric on those monsters, so it is very good on the current best decks with this Raigeki, and also it is not too costly. So other board wiping cards such as Lightning Storm that needs your board to be empty, or Evenly Match that needs to be played on the starting of your main phase 2, those cards are very costly and it meets a certain requirement or condition to be used, and Raigeki does not care about that. Raigeki is a card that it is not too costly. You just use Raigeki and trade for a lot of cards from your opponent. So yeah, it doesn't often cost too much. So yeah, moving on, we have the meta decks that can be tackled by Raigeki. So of course, Rescue Ace, they just end on IP Masquerena with their something like Hydrant Turbulence on, and they don't have Omni Negates on their setup, and Snake Eyes as well, just ending on the Apollousa and sometimes the Caesar, or if they use the Finsmith engine with the Beatrice or Caesar. And yeah, they don't really have too much Omni Negate prowess on their board right now, unlike before that they are running Barone or something like Savage. And also Unchained, a very powerful deck right now from the buff of Finsmith. It is seeing more and more play in the format right now, and Unchained doesn't have Omni Negate threats on their board. They just end on the Link to Blue Dog of Unchained, and yeah, with the things like Caesar and Little Knight, so you can pretty much use Raigeki. Just be wary for their floating effects from the graveyard, of course, from the Unchained archetype. And moving on towards the top one on our list, we have Mulchami Purulia. Yeah, I'm not really sure on how to pronounce this card. Mulchami. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So Mulchami Purulia is our number one in this list, and it is here for good reasons. And yeah, moving on, we have Mulchami Purulia. I'm sorry, I don't have the English text graphic for this card right now. I couldn't find anything from Google, so I just used the OCG version of this card, the Japanese one. And yeah, Mulchami Purulia can be hard to play around against some decks. So some decks really needs to normal summon. They need to invest on normal summon, and there's a lot of instances where they need to special summon from hand. So there's a lot of times that Multichami can be very effective against those decks, and yeah, they pretty much cannot play around this card. No matter how hard they try, they need to face the consequences of playing against the Multichame Purulia. And also, it has huge upsides and very advantageous. You pretty much draw cards and gain card advantages, and also you get to mulligan cards from your hand into your deck. So you get so much value from this card, and it's no brainer that this card is number one on our list because it really functions the same as the Maxi. Of course, Multichame Purulia can act as your quasi or pseudo Maxi in the OCG format right now. So imagine that, having two types of card that can gets you draw advantages and plus from the Maxi, of course, and the Multichame Purulia, you are pretty much going to have a ton of cards in your hand, and you're going to have a ridiculous hand size advantage against your opponent once you can resolve the Multichame Purulia and use it perfectly. And yeah, Maxi is a very toxic card. Imagine that, having a second one of Maxi is really mind blowing. And yeah, we have the meta decks that can be tackled by Multichame Purulia. We have Rescue Ace, of course. They need to normal summon from the Hydrant and Airlifter. And of course, Turbulence needs to be summoned most of the time from their hand. And also, the Tenpai Dragon, they need to normal summon the things like Bident, or they need to special summon from hand using the Genroku. So you are going to have draw advantages against Tenpai, and of course the Voiceless Voice, they need to normal summon the Diviner, the Low, and they're going to summon from hand the Sagely, and the Skull Guardian, of course. So you're going to have a lot of cards against Voiceless Voice. So yeah, that sums up our top 5 tech cards in May 2024 OCG format post info. So once again, thank you for watching this video. I hope you do learn something from it. And please do like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It definitely keeps me motivated into making this kind of informative videos in the future. So thank you for watching. See you on the next one. Peace.